The lie that saved baseball. Christina Gehrig tells a lie about her son Lou's birth in 1903 that she maintains faithfully for 80 years until her death in 1954, never once wavering from the carefully constructed fiction that protects her son's future in America. The family secret she guards involves Lou's true identity, his real birthplace, and circumstances that could have ended his baseball career before it started, destroying the dreams of a family who sacrificed everything to build a new life in a country that promised opportunity but didn't always deliver it to immigrants like them. When the truth finally emerges in the 1980s through painstaking genealogy research and recently opened immigration records, it reveals that everything America thought it knew about Lou Gehrig's origins was an elaborate deception designed to protect her son from the anti-German prejudice that could have destroyed his chances of success. New York City. June 19, 1903, Yorkville neighborhood, Upper East Side, Manhattan. Christina Gehrig sits in her small apartment on East 94th Street, holding her newborn son and making a decision that will define his entire life. Outside, the sounds of German immigrant families fill the tenement building where she and her husband Henrik have lived since arriving in America 3 years ago. Inside, Christina stares at her baby boy and realizes that his future depends on a lie she must tell perfectly for the rest of her life. The truth Christina decides to hide is complicated and dangerous for a family trying to build a new life in America. Lou Gehrig was not born on June 19, 1903, in New York City, as official records would later state. Lou Gehrig was born on June 19, 1903, in Adelsheim, Germany, while Christina was visiting her dying mother, making him technically a German citizen who would need to navigate complex immigration laws if anyone discovered his true birthplace. More significantly, Lou's birth name was not Henry Louis Gehrig. His birth name was Heinrich Ludwig Gehrig, after his father and grandfather, carrying the weight of German heritage that would become increasingly problematic as anti-German sentiment grew in America during the years leading up to World War I. Christina understands that in a country where German immigrants face suspicion and discrimination, her son's success will depend on being seen as completely American. The decision to lie about Lou's birthplace comes after weeks of sleepless nights and whispered conversations with Heinrich, conducted in German behind closed doors while baby Lou sleeps in his crib, unaware that his parents are making choices that will define his entire existence. They know that other German families in their neighborhood have faced serious problems when their foreign births were discovered. Men losing jobs at factories and construction sites, children being ostracized and sometimes attacked at school, families being viewed with suspicion by neighbors who question their loyalty to America and report their activities to local authorities. Heinrich has already seen his own work opportunities limited because of his heavy German accent and his obvious foreign origins. Christina refuses to let her son face those same obstacles, refuses to watch him struggle against prejudice that has nothing to do with his character or abilities. On the morning of June 25, 1903, 6 days after Lou's actual birth in Germany, Christina wraps her infant son in blankets and walks to the New York City Department of Health on Worth Street, her hands shaking as she prepares to commit what she knows is fraud, but believes is necessary protection. She tells the registration clerk, a tired-looking man processing dozens of immigrant birth registrations each day, that her son was born at home in their Yorkville apartment on June 19, that the birth was attended by a German midwife named Mrs. Schultz, who has since returned to the old country, and that no other documentation exists because home births in immigrant communities often went unrecorded due to language barriers and mistrust of official institutions. The clerk, overwhelmed with paperwork and dealing with countless similar stories from immigrant families who often lacked proper documentation, accepts Christina's account without question or investigation. He fills out the birth certificate in careful handwriting. Henry Louis Gehrig, born June 19, 1903, New York City, New York, United States of America. Parents, Henrik Gehrig and Christina Gehrig, both naturalized American citizens. This document, created through Christina's desperate deception, becomes the legal foundation of Lou Gehrig's American identity and his entire future. This single document becomes the foundation of Lou Gehrig's American identity. Christina burns the German birth certificate the night she receives the American one, destroying the only evidence of Lou's true origins. From that moment forward, Heinrich Ludwig Gehrig from Adelsheim, Germany, ceases to exist. Henry Louis Gehrig from New York City begins his life. Christina's lie extends beyond official paperwork. She teaches Lou to tell anyone who asks that he was born in New York, that he has lived his entire life in America, that his family came to the United States when he was too young to remember Germany. She coaches him on the details of his fictional birth story, making sure he can answer questions about their Yorkville apartment, the neighborhood where he supposedly took his first steps, the American childhood he never actually had. As Lou grows older, Christina's protective deception becomes more elaborate. When Lou begins playing baseball in school, she tells coaches and scouts that he learned the game in New York playgrounds, that baseball is the only sport he's ever known, that he represents the American dream of immigrant families achieving success through their children's talents. She never mentions that Lou's first exposure to athletics came from German calisthenics and gymnastics that Heinrich taught him based on European training methods. The lie becomes more crucial as Lou's baseball skills develop and attract attention from professional scouts. During World War I, when anti-German sentiment reaches its peak in America, Christina realizes that any discovery of Lou's German birth could destroy his chances of playing professional baseball. German Americans face harassment, violence, and systematic discrimination. German-language newspapers are banned, German cultural organizations are shut down, and families with German names change them to sound more American. Christina doubles down on her deception. She begins telling neighbors that their family name, Gehrig, comes from an old Dutch lineage, not German heritage. She claims that Heinrich learned his trade as a metalworker from Dutch immigrants, not from his father's German blacksmith tradition. She even changes small details about their family history, creating an elaborate fiction that positions the Gehrigs as longtime American residents who happen to speak German because of business connections, not family heritage. When Lou signs with the New York Yankees in 1923, Christina's 20-year deception faces its greatest test. Professional baseball organizations conduct background checks on their players, investigating family histories and personal details that could create public relations problems. Christina meets with Yankees management and repeats the carefully constructed story she's been telling for 2 decades. Lou was born in New York, raised as an American, and represents the success that hard-working immigrant families can achieve in America. The Yankees' background investigation reveals no contradictions to Christina's account. The American birth certificate appears legitimate. Neighbors confirm that the Gehrig family has lived in Yorkville for as long as anyone can remember. And Lou himself tells consistent stories about his New York childhood. The team embraces Lou as a homegrown American talent, the son of hard-working immigrants who achieved the American dream through talent and determination. For 31 years from Lou's professional debut through his death in 1941, Christina maintains her lie with perfect consistency. She never wavers in telling the story of Lou's American birth, never reveals details about their trip to Germany, never mentions the German birth certificate she destroyed. When sports writers interview her about raising a baseball legend, she talks about Lou's childhood in New York, his natural talent for American sports, his deep love for the country where he was born and raised. Even during World War II, when anti-German sentiment resurges, and some people question the loyalty of German-American families, Christina's deception protects Lou from suspicion or controversy. Official records show him as American-born. His public image emphasizes his patriotism and love of America, and no one has reason to doubt his citizenship or loyalty. Christina takes her secret to the grave in 1954. 13 years after Lou's death, Heinrich dies in 1946, also never revealing the truth about Lou's origins. For nearly 3 decades after Lou's death, the official story of his New York birth remains unchallenged and universally accepted. The truth begins to emerge in the early 1980s, when genealogy researchers working on a comprehensive biography of Lou Gehrig discover inconsistencies in immigration records. Church documents from Adelsheim, Germany show a birth record for Heinrich Ludwig Gehrig on June 19, 1903, the same date as Lou's supposed New York birth. Ship passenger manifests reveal that Christina Gehrig traveled from New York to Germany in early 1903 and returned in late June with an infant. Further investigation uncovers customs documents showing Christina declaring a newborn child upon her return to New York. Hospital records indicating that no births were registered to the Gehrig family at any New York medical facility in June 1903. And witness statements from elderly German immigrants who remember Christina's pregnancy and her trip to Germany to be with her dying mother. When the revelation becomes public in 1984, 43 years after Lou's death, it initially shocks the baseball community and Lou Gehrig fans. Some people feel deceived by the family's deception, questioning whether Lou's American identity was authentic or whether his legacy should be reconsidered in light of his German birth. But as historians and sports writers examine the context of Christina's decision, understanding develops about the impossible situation facing German immigrant families in early 20th century America. Anti-German discrimination was real and pervasive, affecting employment opportunities, social acceptance, and children's futures. Christina's lie was not an attempt to deceive for personal gain, but a mother's desperate effort to protect her son from prejudice and limitation. The revelation also highlights the arbitrary nature of identity and belonging in immigrant communities. Lou Gehrig was raised in America, spoke English as his primary language, embraced American values and culture, and dedicated his life to an quintessentially American sport. His birthplace, determined by the timing of his grandmother's death and his mother's sense of family duty, had no bearing on his character, achievements, or contribution to American society. More importantly, historians recognize that Christina's deception was necessary protection in an era when foreign birth could legitimately limit a person's opportunities and social acceptance. Her lie enabled Lou to pursue his talents without facing the prejudice and suspicion that German immigrants regularly encountered. Rather than diminishing Lou's legacy, the truth reveals the additional obstacles his family overcame to achieve success in America. The discovery of Christina's 80-year deception also illuminates the stories of countless other immigrant families who made similar choices to protect their children's futures. In an era before modern civil rights protections, when discrimination based on national origin was legal and socially accepted, parents regularly made difficult decisions about how much of their heritage to preserve and how much to conceal. Lou Gehrig's true origin story becomes more inspiring, not less, when viewed in this context. His success represents not just individual talent and determination, but a family's courage in navigating the complex challenges of immigrant life in early America. Christina's lie was an act of love and protection that enabled her son to achieve greatness, despite the prejudice and limitation that his German birth might have imposed. The revelation also raises important questions about identity, authenticity, and belonging that remain relevant today. Was Lou Gehrig less American because he was born in Germany? Did Christina's deception make their family's story less authentic, or their achievements less valid? Or did her protective lie simply enable her son to be judged on his character and abilities rather than on circumstances beyond his control? Most historians and baseball fans conclude that Christina Gehrig's deception was not only understandable but admirable. She recognized that in an imperfect world, sometimes protecting your children requires making difficult choices about truth and identity. Her lie didn't change who Lou was or what he achieved. It simply ensured that he had the opportunity to become the person his talents and character enabled him to be. The lie that saved baseball wasn't really about saving baseball at all. It was about saving a boy's future in a country where foreign birth could limit opportunity and acceptance. Christina Gehrig's 80-year deception reveals the lengths to which loving parents will go to protect their children from prejudice and ensure they have every chance to succeed. Lou Gehrig's legacy remains unchanged by the revelation of his German birth. His character, achievements, and contributions to American culture stand on their own merits. But the discovery of his true origins adds depth and complexity to his story, revealing him as not just an American baseball legend, but as a symbol of the immigrant experience and the difficult choices families make in pursuit of the American dream. Who in your life has made sacrifices or difficult choices to protect your opportunities? How many family stories involve protective deceptions designed to shield children from prejudice or limitation? Christina Gehrig's 80-year lie reminds us that sometimes love requires choosing between absolute honesty and practical protection. and that the most important truths about a person's character cannot be diminished by the circumstances of their birth.